My name is Will Putnam. I live in Oregon, and I've got a lot of free time on my hands because of all this social distancing that I've been doing. So I thought that I would take some of that time and talk to you about chemical disinfectants, specifically bleach. I was at the store the other day, not buying toilet paper, but I noticed that there was no alcohol-based disinfectant left, but a lot of bleach left on the shelves in the laundry and cleaning aisle. And bleach is an excellent disinfectant, and a little bit goes a very, very long way, as we'll find out shortly. And if you get, say, some rags, a mason jar, and some bleach, you can make your own disinfectant wipes. So I'm going to do this little video here. I'm going to make some disinfectant wipes right here in front of you, and hopefully this will help you keep the surfaces that you interact with clean, help you, maybe you can make some and give them away, help you protect the people around you who are immunocompromised and elderly, and help you flatten the curve, because that's the mission right now. Flatten that curve and keep the peak number of cases below what the U.S. healthcare system can handle. So let's get started. What we have here is bleach, basically just laundry bleach, cleaning bleach. It's 8.5%, 8.25%, so it's a little bit more concentrated than what you get at the store, which is good. And we're going to mix it with water in accordance with instructions from the CDC. They say 1/3 of a cup of bleach per gallon of water will get you an appropriate disinfecting solution. I'm going to grab some safety glasses. Anytime you're dealing with chemicals, it's important to take appropriate precautions. I'm going to wear some gloves and safety glasses because this is a very corrosive chemical, and it will irritate your skin and eyes and lungs. So we're just going to be extra careful because we don't want to put any more burden on the hospital than we already are going to see. So the end goal here is to get a little mason jar full of cotton wipes saturated in a bleach hypochlorite solution that we can use to disinfect surfaces, your car, your doorknob, your desk. The solution that we end up with should be relatively benign, so wear gloves if you can while using it, but don't let that stop you if you haven't got any. We're going to use these mason jars because everybody's got mason jars. We're going to wrap them in tape though. We have blue painter's tape here. If you saw this and were wondering about that, we're going to wrap our mason jars in blue painter's tape because sunlight destroys bleach. It makes it unavailable. And we need it to be available to disinfect our surfaces. You should clean your surfaces thoroughly before you disinfect them. Bleach is significantly impacted by the presence of dirt in whatever you're trying to disinfect. It inactivates a lot of the solution. So what you should do is get something like Simple Green dish detergent, nice sponge, clean the surface regularly, come along with your disinfectant very frequently, and wipe it down. So as long as you keep it clean, you can just wipe it down with disinfectant. Alright, so CDC says 1/3 of 1 cup of bleach into 1 gallon of water. I got my gallon of water, tap water, staged. Open up my brand new thing of bleach here. You may not want to do this on carpet, as I am doing, because if you spill this bleach, it will destroy the carpet. So don't do that when you're doing this at home. Don't tell my landlord. So 1/3 of a cup. Be about 1/3 of the way over that line. That's closer to 1/2 cup. So what you're gonna see when you use this, well, you won't see it unless you do some very serious testing, but the longer you leave the solution on the surface, the better effect it will have as a disinfectant. So at least 10 minutes is the CDC recommendation for dwell time on the surface you're disinfecting, and let it dry. Basically, let it dry. Wipe it down with disinfectant, let it dry there. Let it sit there. Make sure you let it sit there long enough to do its work. So this is going to go into this gallon of water and make us a bunch of jars of disinfectant wipes. So I think this was probably $2. That's how much we're using. It's pungent. So now we need to stir our solution. So now we have our gallon of disinfectant solution, properly mixed, and we've got a mason jar, and we've got some rags and something to cut them with. So I've got these just basic shop rags. This is probably actually quite a bit larger than what we need, so I'm going to just cut these real quick, something a little bit smaller so that I can maybe use more. At room temperature, bleach will inactivate or go down to about half of its active concentration in about a month. So you may need this for longer than a month. So you should remember to refresh the solution regularly. The more concentrated you make the solution, the longer it will last. But my recommendation is to make a relatively dilute solution so you can make a lot of it and refresh it pretty frequently. Bleach expires. The reason this is in an opaque jar is because it's inactivated by light. It's just time, the compound decays. So make sure that you check your expiration date if you're using bleach that you found in your house, or if you are buying it new, make sure that they're not stocking expired bleach. So I got 2 rags, mason jar. Okay. So here's my jar of sweet disinfectant. I'm going to take my just blue painter's tape that I had laying around. Any opaque material is good, really. Just make sure that you seal it up all the way around, cover up all the gaps, get a couple layers on there. The silver aluminized tape would be great for this if you know anybody who works in ducting or has a good reason to keep that stuff around. It's a little expensive, but if you got some lying around, it's basically completely opaque, so you'd have no problem blocking out the sunlight. We're just going to keep at this thing until we're really sure. This will also help it stop from breaking. Plastic jars will work for this as well. I believe this is high density polyethylene. Yeah, high density polyethylene is an appropriate plastic for storing bleach. So a lot of commercial products come in HDPE plastic jars. You can tell because it says HDPE on the bottom. Highly recommended. If it's good enough for the manufacturer, it's good enough for you. Got this sweet mason jar because it's Oregon, you know. So there's this. I'm going to grab a marker here. I'm going to write down the day that I made this because I need to replace the solution within a month, if not sooner. If you're using it a lot, replace it within a couple of days. So it's the 14th. All right, so that was it. That was a couple minutes, a couple bucks, and now I have a weapon in the war against coronavirus. Thank you for listening to me. If you listened the whole time, appreciate it. Make yourself some of these, distribute them to your friends, clean yourself before you do, wash your hands, of course, and flatten the curve. Good luck out there, everybody.